Right guys, hope you're all keeping safe and, like me, playing games whilst self-isolating. Now, I'm back with another State of the Game recap video today, covering everything the devs are talking about, which includes a nerf coming to rifles and MMRs, along with some other updates on issues within the game, like difficulty scaling and other such things. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like down below, a dislike if you didn't, and let's begin. So, as usual guys, I've wrote everything down in bullet points and we'll be going down the list, giving you everything the devs spoke about and adding my own thoughts where necessary. Please feel free to leave your own thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. So, State of the Game this time around was a different format. It was actually done at the homes of the presenters, Hamish, Yannick and Chris, because like most people, they're not working in the offices at the moment, they're actually working from home. The first thing they talked about were the priority alerts, and I'm going to go into more details on these later into this video, but they said about difficulty balancing coming in the next update. Gear set and talent issues are currently being investigated as well. The maintenance yesterday, there was quite a lot of patches or bug fixes in that maintenance. I covered this in my first video of yesterday, so if you do want to check out the entire list, then please go and do that. For me, the highlight was the unlimited looping when you went into a dark zone checkpoint, so that's been fixed, which is great news. But if you wanted to see if there was any bugs that you'd reported or bugs that particularly frustrated you, then check out my first video yesterday, and I would have covered it there towards the end of that video. They went on to talk about the hunter key fix. They wanted to clarify why it was done. Some people had too many keys, so were unable to actually progress with any other encounters, and that's why it was fixed. They didn't say why they had to clarify that, because surely if it's broken it needs to be fixed, but maybe they had some feedback where people weren't particularly happy about that. I don't totally know. Yannick advised of some new issues that have come up recently, the season progression reset and others, which I did, again, I've covered that in videos recently. They did go on to talk about the season progression a little bit more. It seems to be that anyone online at the time of the update was when the season progression was essentially reset for those people. They didn't say whether people that have logged into the game then found out that the season progression was reset. I've seen people say that that's the case, so maybe that's not the issue. They need examples from people that this didn't happen to, and kind of what the overall context was, so that they can investigate this more. But certainly this is something they're looking into, and they're also looking into whether they can restore people's season rank, but no confirmed fix yet, and no confirmed time period yet either. I presume they're going to try and get this in for the next update. They went on to speak about some fixes are going to be coming out much quicker than other ones, just because sometimes some fixes are just much easier to do than other ones. So when you're seeing these maintenance notes and you might be looking at them going, you know, well, clearly they're not prioritizing the most important stuff. That's not the case. The most important stuff is normally the hardest stuff to fix, and hence why they're taking longer with it. As soon as they have a fix for the more difficult fixes or major issues in the game, then they will absolutely put those out. But in the meantime, they are doing as much as they can to fix everything that needs to be fixed. I don't think you could say fix as many times as I did in that one paragraph. They will be putting up a post very soon to give us better timeline of fixes. Can't believe I'm still saying that word, but and if that comes up and it gives us any more significant information, guys, then I'll get it covered here on the channel. I doubt very much it will. They then moved on to difficulty scaling, and you know, the question was where are they at with it? Well, the devs confirmed that they're not particularly happy with where the scaling is at, and we already know this. They like that it's challenging, but they don't like the sponginess. They also don't like the time to be killed as well. NPCs are just too lethal. They are working on a general pass as soon as possible, and the mission for this pass is, number 1, to reduce NPC lethality, number 2, address sponginess, especially in groups, and number 3, to address the difficulty jump, especially from hard to challenging, where it's a bit too intense. And they want to get this stuff out as early as possible, guys. This will affect players differently depending on if you're playing solo or if you're in a group. They've also seen complaints about the world tier difficulty as well for people who have not bought the expansion from World Tiers 1 to World Tiers 5, and they want to address this as well. I'm not sure if they're addressing it in the same pass or not. They are not going into detail on exactly what they are doing at the moment to address the difficulty and the scaling and whatnot, because there's just so many levers that they didn't want to really give out false information. They hope the progression between difficulty will be much smoother with this general pass though, and group play will feel a lot better. They then want to talk about how leagues work. I'm not going to go over how leagues and all of that stuff works, guys. There's so much stuff out there at the moment. I'm sure you guys can find. There was no mention of the possible damage glitch, guys, which I covered yesterday. And I did change the title of my video yesterday because after I reviewed it, it felt like I was kind of alleging that some people were doing some untoward stuff. But that's not the case. It's that there is evidence that stuff isn't quite right, and actually I'm still gathering evidence on this at the moment. In particular, I'm waiting for confirmation of a video showing actually how this damage glitch works, and if I manage to see that, then I will absolutely put another video out. I won't post how it works, but I will definitely be putting a video out to basically address you guys and say yes, it is 100% confirmed. I don't know that for sure at the moment though. They then went on to make sure that people are aware that the league resets at the end of every week. And this is something I've seen a lot, and it's worth the devs talking about. But at the end of every week, you know, the league resets, but you do not lose your progress. So if you want to reach, say, rank 60, okay, which is the max rank, you can do 30 ranks 1 week, and then 30 week 2. So for anyone who can't do, like, heroic, or they can't do, like, 10 stages of challenging or whatever, you could probably do the other 2 non-time trials, which pretty much anyone can do. You don't need to be able to be an expert or anything, and then you'd only have to do a couple of stages of each one in order to get you to level 30, and then you can just repeat that the following week, and that way you can get all the rewards. So that is, for anyone who didn't know that, that's how it kind of works. The question was then asked, well, next week, what's coming next week? Well, we've got the first global event, which is going to start next week, called Polarity Switch. And what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to include some footage here of the footage they included a couple of weeks ago, just to show you guys how Polarity Switch will look and how it will work.
Started, players opt into it. You do so here inside of the Seasons menu. You can do that if you're in any safe space. And now when you walk out, you're greeted by these enemies who are yellow or blue. And you'll notice that your arm is either yellow or blue, positive or negatively charged. Mm-hmm. You do extra damage based on how well you're playing, essentially, to same polarity enemies. And if you really want them to change polarity, you can go up and punch them in the face. Mm-hmm. That'll change the polarity of them and everyone else in their fire team. And so there's a lot of strategy. Your polarity changes every time you reload or every time you switch weapons. And by matching, you'll notice that he's got a 4 over his shoulder and he's about to have a 5. Yeah. That is a stacking buff for, hey, you're doing this correct. That damage buff is getting stronger for shooting those same color enemies.
Is there a cap for that?
I believe it caps at 5. I think 5 is as high as it go, but it's 5's a lot. You're murdering these guys. I'm certain someone will frame by frame through this and see the exact percentages. However, if you get it wrong, you're essentially given exactly one mistake, is it wipes out all of your stacks. And then a short moment later, if you hit with a second bullet, you will receive a shock for having played wrong.
I think we see that coming up soon in the gameplay,
it's
actually.
Coming. So again, here you're yellow, so you want to shoot the yellow enemies, because if you shoot the blue, you're going to be punished. So as long as you shoot the yellow, you build up your stack. Here you switch to blue because there's a blue coming, so up, you can kill the blue, build up your stack. But you always have to be aware of what color they have, what color you have. As long as you play it right, you're going to get that damage buff, which means you're actually going to be more powerful than, you know, in the normal game. But as soon as you do it wrong, like that, boom. So
very cool.
Don't do it wrong.
And it's really wild because this stacks really complexly with some of the directives, because one of the directives is ammo hoarders, and so you actually get a lot less ammo, and every time you reload, it dumps all of the ammo that was inside of your magazine, making this get very complicated very quickly unless you're being very, very aware. But directives are always opt-in. You can turn them on for just a mission or turn them on globally.
So enemies will have, you know, different polarities. If you shoot an NPC with the same polarity as you, you can stack up to damage up to 5 times. So you can do some insane damage. If you don't and you shoot someone with an opposite polarity to you, you're going to get shocked and you're going to do minimal damage. Some people who really understand how this will work and manage to actually get this down to a T, essentially, will be able to breeze through these time trials, because they'll be able to stack damage up and keep that damage up whilst they apply this global event to those leagues. So this could be very good for some people and not so good for other people. I also wanted to say that polarities can be switched various ways, like changing weapons, reloading and actually meleeing NPCs as well. Then it moved on to the Division 2 now being available on Stadia, which cross-plays with PC. They didn't really go into much detail on that, they kind of just left that there. They included some footage of a new hat that you can get in-game, and included this footage, which you're going to see in the background, guys. There was someone on Twitter about this. Highly recommend you go on to Twitter for the Division 2 page, where they may actually be giving these hats out in real life. I actually have a Division 2 hat which I was given a while back, but it's not the same one as this. But yeah, they might be doing this in real life. I think there's a limited amount of people that can get this sort of stuff, and I think you have to sign up to it some way. Not totally sure. Head on over to the official Division 2 Twitter page, and it's all on there. They then confirmed the new apparel event, which is coming soon in 2 weeks, I believe. They didn't really go into any detail as to what that apparel event will entail, and I hope they don't. I want it to be a surprise, so let's hope they don't talk in more detail about that, but I suspect we are going to get some kind of tease to that in the coming weeks. They then said that the sticky bomb is not doing damage under certain circumstances, which is going to be fixed, hopefully. They then had questions from what looked to be chat about control points and the seasonal manhunt. They said in the next update there will be an extra UI button in the seasonal manhunt that will allow you to change things without resetting the seasonal manhunt progression that you have. In respect to control points, when you change difficulty, all of them will be reset, but they're not sure if this is going to make it in the next update. I really hope they do, because I know that's really frustrating a lot of people. The hardwire gear set talent they are investigating, along with the striker stack issue as well. That was what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about the gear set issues and talent issues. For PvP, Tip of the Spear is something they are currently working on, but it's not ready yet. There is currently, unfortunately, not a glitch, it's kind of an exploit where the Tip of the Spear gives you specialization ammo you can use in the Dark Zone, and that's obviously not intended, so they're hoping to fix that. They talked about PvP damage, which is going to be nerfed, so that way the time to kill will be decreased. The time to kill will be decreased, increased. Anyway, it will take you longer to take people down in PvP. And they've also said that there's going to be some adjustments to rifles and MMRs in respect to damage, and they're going to be bringing those numbers down a bit, and those numbers are going to be posted later on. Now they included it in the same sentence as PvP, but I suspect generally they are going to be making a pass on rifles and MMRs for damage overall, not just for PvP but for PvE as well. So you heard it here first, guys. Rifles, MMRs, they're going to be nerfed. They said the revive bug is still being looked at. Hamish actually brought up the exotic power balancing, and I've seen this a few times. I may actually cover this in a future video, but there appears to be some exotics that are probably okay, like Pestilence, which appears to be pretty good, but there's some other exotics like Chameleon, for example, which just really aren't in the mix whatsoever. Yannick advised they don't think this is such a big topic as some of the other things. What he said is that he doesn't want to say that they're not talking about it, but it's certainly not on their radar compared to other things. They're looking currently at upgrading the existing exotics still, so that's kind of more important, I would say. But I do think this is something they might need to address, because I do think there might be a balancing issue with exotics in the game. And then Chris spoke about hit registration issues. Again, they require videos and all of that sort of good stuff in respect to that, because when they test things internally, it's off of reports. They need to reproduce what the players are actually doing so they can see what the issues are. So the more evidence you can give them of where it happened, when, all of that, you can give them a video of it and stuff like that, the better chance they've got of reproducing it, and the better chance they've got of learning how to fix it. This will always be, unfortunately, guys, this is always, they didn't say this, but I know this is always going to be a problem with the game. Hit registration is always going to be a problem with the game, unfortunately. It did get better. I've personally not experienced much hit registration issues, but for some people, this is always going to be a problem, unfortunately. All they can really do is try and fix as much as they possibly can. But that was it for you for today, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. If you did, please, as I said, drop a like on the video down below. If you didn't like this one for whatever reason, I apologize, but hit that dislike button so I know what you guys are thinking. And until the next one, epic out.